In our last episode, we worked on adding extra strength to the inner side of our cockpit bulkhead by adding layers of fiberglass across the entire surface, as well as the outer hull side where our chain plates will be, and to the area above the entrance to our aft bunks. These reinforcements have always been a part of the build plans from Max Cruise, and were part of our scheduled layups from the build plans we received back in January. Some of these areas on the outer facing side would also get extra fiberglass, and that is what we're up to today. Although, instead of covering the entirety of the bulkhead in pesky 090 fiberglass, our mission was to add unidirectional, 4 layers strong, on the outer hull side, as well as 1 layer along the chamfered panel. Then lastly, we'd be enforcing 3 layers strong of 090 and 12-ounce biaxial just above the opening to our aft bunks. After 8 years of the nomadic life, involving crossing oceans in a 34-foot Sabre, refitting an aluminum boat, and then taking that to the Arctic Circle, we're back at it again with a brand new build. This is Matt, and I'm Jessica. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us every week as we start our newest project of building a 42-foot catamaran from the ground up. Now that Matt and I have finished glassing both sides of port and starboard bulkhead 6, it is time to do something that I have been looking forward to ever since we started putting in bulkheads. Of course, numbers 4 and 5 were a pretty big deal because you could start to see how the hull spaces were separated from one another. But now by adding bulkhead 6, we're really going to get an idea of the separation from the cockpit area and the salon, and also most importantly, we're going to be able to see the height of what the inside space is going to be. So Matt just went inside the tent, I'm going to go inside, and we're going to try and move this big piece, put it in each side, and yeah, kind of see the boat start to shape up. All right, it is go time now to get our first first bulkhead 6 portion in, and we're going into the owner's hull here on starboard side. You can see that right now it is resting on a set of sawhorses up there with the gel coat side up to keep that protected. So once we drop it in, that's going to be facing aft here because that will be the exterior part of the boat. So we're gonna get it in place and see how it looks. Getting pretty excited here. It's gonna change it so much. Almost forgot my gloves. So right here, I'm standing on top of the unidirectional where this bulkhead is going to lie. And of course, because the bottom portion goes into the hull and it's going to be the forward edge of our bed, one of us is going to have to kind of slide down there with it. Matt gets that job, we'll see how he does. And I will have the taller portion, which is going to be eventually the window that looks out between the salon and galley.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if you grab that end, I'll grab this.
Okay.
Because I can control it a little bit easier, so you can hold it higher.
Yeah.
And then you just bring it over here and kind of just let it slide down.
We'll try that.
Give it a shot. Worst case scenario, we have to pull it back out.
Okay.
You're gonna be okay not to trip. Just don't fall down the hole, please.
Okay.
Actually, if you want to pick it up, I will move this sawhorse out of your way.
Okay.
And then you can just kind of walk it back and then drop it in.
Sure.
All right. Grab that real quick.
Yeah, I love that.
setting it down. All of these are going to be fiberglass edges anyway. Okay. Oh, there you go. We need to cut out the way I kind of saw.
And in case you're wondering, this is how we get into bed. Probably don't want to put too much pressure on it.
No, that Gatorade bottle isn't that strong.
Standing on my tiptoes here.
Ooh, yeah, that needs some trimming. This is our salon.
Isn't that pretty cool?
So the other bulkhead will
put
go.
your toe, yeah.
The other bulkhead will go to right about here.
Yep, right there.
Yep.
So from there, all the way to there.
Is going to be fully open space. We have the doors that lift up. There's no island in ours like in some of the other Max Cruise plans. So while I'm sitting in my salon, we'll just call it like right here, looking out on beautiful ocean.
I'll be laying in the cockpit right about here.
Yep, that's where our back bench is going to be.
Yeah, and then cockpit seats. This will kind of raise up to the helm position up here. There'll be a seat kind of right here. And then all the way on this side, there will be another one, but that sits way back here too, kind of over this area. So you look at how much
floor space
Yep.
there's going to be.
Then the aft beams run right where these two pieces of unidirectional are, and there'll be a seat along this. So it's roughly, US measurements, Imperial, it will be roughly 6 feet long this way, 9 or 10 feet from that side to that side. So it's actually a very large opening in this area. This is awesome.
Matt's got extras.
Another little bulkhead. But this is roughly, well, basically the width of our bed. Goes right over the top of this. It extends a little bit further this way and actually extends over onto this lip as well. But can kind of give you an idea.
Nice queen size.
Yep, queen size bed. Bunch of storage here. Engine will be roughly in this area. You can actually feel how it's going to be. This is awesome. Going to the hall. And then once this drops down, once you get the Gatorade bottle out and trim it properly to fit down in here.
Yeah. We put a Gatorade bottle down there so that it didn't get stuck and we'd still be able to pull it out.
A lesson learned, each one that we put in, we set it in place to kind of dry fit it. And they're wide in this area, they cut them a little bit wide, so we have to trim them down. Well, the hulls kind of push out a little bit still. When he pushes down there, they lock themselves into place. And it's a lot of work getting them out. So we've learned, put a Gatorade bottle down or something with little piece and set it down there and then trim it to fit.
And now it is time to navigate, and not fall on rocks, but navigate the maze of our support bars to bring the other bulkhead, which we've been working on up by the bow, through here, up and over there, in order to get that one in place as well. Wish us luck because there's still code involved.
Well, now we have both sides of Bulkhead 6 in, and as Matt was mentioning when we did the starboard side, it is going to be a little bit angled because we have those bottles on the bottom just to make sure that these things don't lock themselves into place before we're ready to bond them, because then it makes it a big pain in the butt to get them out. So it's kind of like listing to one side or the other right now, but gives you a good idea of how it's going to look. Let's see if I can kind of span both sides right now. Pretty darn amazing. So Matt's gonna go ahead and do some trimming, and then hopefully in the next couple days we can permanently bond those into place and really start setting the rooms for this catamaran.
Not only are we lucky enough to have a workspace at the beautiful Kentmorr Marina on Kent Island, but we're also lucky enough to call this place home each night. When we first moved out here from a friend's apartment in Eastport across the Bay Bridge, we moved onto a 35-foot Viking Sport fishing boat, which belonged to the marina. We worked out a deal with the owner where we'd get the opportunity to live on it free of charge in exchange for cleaning it up and fixing a few minor issues to get it into a condition to sell. A buyer showed up very quickly, but the problem was we fell in love with living on site and now needed a new home for ourselves. Enter the Pacemaker. This 31-foot beauty has now been purchased by us to become our new home at the marina. But before she's ready to go in the water and have us move aboard, she's going to need a little love first.
As you can see from these 4 very full boxes here, Total Boat has hooked us up with absolutely everything we'll need to work on the bottom of the Pacemaker. Not only is there just the basic barrier coat and the bottom paint, they've hooked us up with trays and rollers, chip brushes and stir sticks, Tyvek suits, and even paint thinner. So we've got the full bottom care set, and right now I'm gonna take some of this tape, get that waterline taped off so that Matt and I can go through in just a little bit and put on the very first barrier coat. All right, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I have just finished taping off the waterline here. Matt and I are getting ready to put on the first barrier coat. We figured we'd let it cool down a little bit. Start on this side, it's on the shade. Move to the other side, hopefully the sun will be like in that hazy stage. Nice breeze right now. I think it'll be a great evening of painting.
Ooh, that's a full thing.
Yeah, that's gonna split that up.
Just hold me now while I hold you tight, 'cause I pull you in, then I throw you out. But I swear, it's never easy, no. Now we're standing here at this plain place while I'm giving in and you're reaching out. But I swear, it's not that easy, no.
Do you like my messy do? Which, as I was usually the one underneath there because I had one of the little mini rollers that we use with doing the fiberglass. I think there's like some twigs in my hair.
There's also a bunch of paint in your hair.
And there's a bunch of paint in my hair. True messy Jessie form.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna hit the shower after this, but we did it, it rolled on so well.
Yeah.
Like incredibly easy. I was not looking forward to this.
Probably the easiest barrier coat that we've ever put
Yeah,
on.
I've had poor experiences in the past getting this on.
And the worst part is it's actually shinier than our gel coat. So right now it actually makes the gel coat look really bad
dull.
Because yeah, the barrier coat's actually shinier.
Yeah. But all in all, a good experience with this barrier coat. Time to get some blue paint on that's probably gonna match that. We won't even know where the water line is once we take the tape off.
Probably be shinier as well.
Probably. Okay, so I just had to share this. As I was pulling the twigs out of my hair, it wasn't twigs. It was a freaking dead bird. There's feathers feathers and talons. I'm gonna go shower now. After some aligning and trimming on Matt's part over the past few days, we are now ready to glass in bulkhead 6 on each side. And so I think we'll do it again how we've done the previous ones and just do one side, like the forward edge, and let that cure for a few hours so that when we go to work on the other side, we're not making any accidental adjustments to its position. And since we no longer have it spanning all the way across, when I go to mix up some of the thickened resin right now, shouldn't need as much, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw some silica into 12 ounces of resin. Matt will do his coves, and then we can start glassing.
When doing the cove, or fillets as they're also called, we tend to use a higher percentage of the catalyst in our resin. This is because we want it to get to a tacky stage before we begin to lay the glass down. And in these warmer temperatures, that means it's usually ready by the time we go from one end to the other.
So won't you let me trip with you? Leading out for you, lead us till tomorrow. So won't you let me? So won't you let me? So won't you let me?
Once all the resin has been applied, we go through with a squeegee that has been cut down to shape, giving us a perfect 20mm radius each time. Excess resin that is scooped up by the squeegee is placed back inside the cup and saved for the next area of fillets. To get each of these bulkheads to stay in their proper position until fully bonded in, we drilled in cleats on the base of the side that would not be getting glassed, and then ran a bar from this bulkhead and bulkhead number 5 with a clamp in place as a way to keep the vertical line plumb.
So won't you let me trip with you? Leading out for you, lead us till tomorrow. So won't you let me trip with you? Leading out for you, lead us till tomorrow. So won't you let me? So won't you let me?
Since we were beginning to run low on our sheet of 50-inch wide, 12-ounce double bias fiberglass, we had recently made a purchase of this cloth in 6-inch wide rolls. Our new way of application was to lay the first sheet down with 2 inches spreading out from one side of the cove and 4 inches spreading out from the other. When it's time for the second sheet to go down, we do the same thing with the 4 inches extending to the other side. Once completed, the two pieces of glass still have 4 inches of an overlapping bond. As always, we use our metal fin roller after each sheet of glass has been laid down and covered in resin to chase out any of the air bubbles trapped under the cloth. And because the aft side of this bunk is our bed, and most of it will be engine space which resides below us, we opted to only use peel ply in the areas which will be visible in day-to-day life.